Wallarm's API security capabilities begin with API discovery. When you deploy a Wallarm node and send traffic to it, Wallarm will discover all of the APIs and associated endpoints in that traffic. And for each of those API endpoints, Wallarm will tell you about the supported methods, information about the traffic scene destined for those endpoints, the risk score and what parameters make up that risk score, as well as all of the parameters that were detected in those requests and whether or not any of them expose sensitive data, in this case, an API token. You can also provide Wallarm with a specification for the APIs in your environment. When you upload a specification, Wallarm will compare the contents of that specification to what has been detected by API discovery and tell you about shadow, zombie, and orphan endpoints in the environment. A shadow endpoint is one that has been in the environment and not in the documentation. An orphan API is the opposite, an endpoint that is in the documentation but not detected in the environment. And a zombie API is one that has changed over time, where it was previously in the documentation and in the environment, but has been removed from the documentation and is still present in the environment. You can drill into any of these criteria and you can see them in the API discovery interface. You can also filter from the API discovery interface for shadow, orphan, and zombie APIs. Once you've discovered all of the APIs in your environment, you want to protect them from attacks, and Wallarm does this automatically. In the events section, you can see attacks, incidents, and vulnerabilities. You can filter the attacks interface for specific types of attacks. In this case, we'll choose SQL injection. And then for each of the attacks detected, you can drill into that attack and you can see all of the requests included in that attack. In this case, there were 162 requests part of this attack. And for each of those requests, you can see all of the details involved, including the payload that was detected that indicated this was an attack. Incidents are attacks that are targeted at a specific vulnerability. In this case, you can see the attack with the same information that you get in the attacks interface, and you can also see the specific vulnerability that this attack was targeting. But not every attack comes as a single packet that can be detected. Wallarm provides API abuse prevention to detect more behavioral-based attacks. In this case, we use a series of detectors, some of which are based on machine learning and some of which are not, in order to identify whether the activity across multiple requests is indicative of an automated attack. You can create profiles and you can choose how the system should behave based on different types of attacks, adding those IP addresses that are detected into the deny list or the gray list. Finally, Wallarm extends the capabilities of API security to API testing. You can here create a testing policy. It can be based on the discovered data, so we can select some endpoints here from API discovery, or you can upload your own API specification. Then you can choose which types of attacks to include in testing. So if you want to test, for example, for NoSQL injection, or if you want to test for open redirects, or you can select all of them. And then once you've created that profile, that testing policy, Wallarm creates a Docker container and gives you a command to run. You can then run that command and that Docker container and conduct scanning against target APIs from anywhere in your CI/CD pipeline, providing integration into your process to reduce risk before those vulnerabilities are pushed to production. Wallarm provides a robust set of API security capabilities in a common platform